I think one habit destroys more dreams than anything else, and it's the concept of start stops. And so, to illustrate this, I'll talk about a friend of mine. And my friend has a business idea, really interesting and novel idea. And I don't think he will ever know if it will work or not, or if it would have worked or not. And that's because starts, stops. And so he works in a very interesting industry as his full time job. And then he's also working on this business on the side, so to speak. And so often things occur due to work that will force him to shift gears, or maybe personally something happens that forces him to shift gears. Now, that is outside of his control. Life happens. Sometimes we're forced to break the schedule. The ability to get right back on task after having experienced an adversive experience, whatever it may be, that's a skill. And that's the skill and the habit that most people don't pick up. Instead, they pick up the habit of something happens, it throws them off for a week or two, then they come back to their thing. Something happened, it throws them off for a month or two, then they come back to the thing. Something massive happens, 6 months, they don't even touch their thing. Then they get motivated, they remember why they were doing to begin with, and they come back. In those gaps, in those time frames where you're not actively pursuing the thing, the work doesn't go anywhere. It stays there stagnant, waiting for you. Specifically, in terms of the progress that you would have made is now on pause, and the time moves anyway. It goes forward anyway. It elapses anyway. And so, whether you choose to engage with the work or not, the work needs engaging with in order for your thing to move forward. And so, what you will find is you're now taking the year to complete work you could have done in 6 months. Very, very interesting how start stops begin to affect individuals and how they are a telltale sign of, again, people who end up not realizing their thing simply because the time horizon of really seeing any material return or even building up momentum is constantly broken up. And so, specifically with this friend, but with these types of people in general, it's not that they have bad ideas or whatever they want to do is impossible, but it's that they never stick with it long enough. And so, if you can eliminate unnecessary start stops from your life, then everything speeds up. And it's not just eliminating unnecessary start stops. I'll talk a little bit later, 2 sections from now, about Patrick Bet-David's framework that kind of brought this idea into my life. And that mainly speaks to, it's not just about eliminating unnecessary start stops, it's about eliminating all start stops. And so sometimes there will be very valid reasons for you to stop, very valid reasons for you to take a week off, take 2 weeks off, whatever the case may be. If you can keep pushing regardless of those very valid reasons, you will have a tendency to achieve things a lot quicker than other people tend to achieve them. But we'll talk about the compressed timelines and what that looks like in a little bit. And so some of the key takeaways, number one is success isn't one long sprint. It's returning to baseline as quickly as possible, because life happens, but the question is, how quickly can you recover? And so it's not that you will constantly be on the ball and you will be perfect and you won't miss a beat, but it's how can I make it so that I don't actually miss a beat in terms of the result. So the input will sometimes be broken up or inconsistent or made inconsistent by the circumstance. But the question becomes, how can I then make it so that I double my input during a certain period, so that by the time this stop hits me, when I start again, I'm not starting from zero, I'm starting from a healthy cushion that was built up by this previous thing. What can I be doing in the meantime to kind of hold on to what little bit of momentum I do have, so that when I come back, I'm not starting from zero. It's preemptively calculating around these things in order to make sure that you are continuing, and that the important part is that continuing, is that it's not just a thing of, okay, what am I doing in the short term while this thing is happening, but it's how quickly can I come back and immediately get back to where I was? Because life happens, right? Breakups happen, divorces happen, you know, computers crash, people, you know, all that good stuff. And your ability to get right back on the horse and mush will dictate how far you get. And so, number two, we'll talk about Patrick Bet-David's framework of part timers, full timers, all timers. Is a part timer has about 2 to 4 start stops per year. So twice a year, maybe you went to someone's whatever. It's someone's birthday. It's your birthday. It's a holiday. It's whatever, right? 2 to 4, a part timer. A full timer will have about 2 start stops every 5 to 10 years. An all the timer will have a start stop in about a 50-year run. And so you can see very, very viscerally, based on the various types of input that you're willing to put in and the person that you're trying to be, and the size of the dream that you're trying to have. If your dreams aren't that big, like realistically, if there's not that much that there is to do within what you do, and you're not interested in doing it, which is okay, by the way, then you might be part time, and that's okay. And but if you're not willing to pay the price, release yourself from the desire. I feel like it's very important, especially when it comes to contentment, when it comes to long term being whole. If you are not willing to do what it takes, release yourself from the desire. You'll be a whole lot happier, and you can be part time. Full time is someone who wants to go. This ends up becoming your executive. This ends up becoming um, your CMO, who perhaps doesn't have equity options, or may have some sort of equity within the company. Your full timer is, listen, I love doing this thing. I'm a part of this mission. I'm a driver. Um, but I also want to be able to disconnect and unplug from this thing and take a holiday when I want to, and do this and that. And all the timer is someone who says, I will give what is necessary. I will do what it takes. These are the goals that I have, and nothing will get in between me and achieving those goals. That's an all the timer, right? Very, very select few people, very crazy individuals. They're not to be messed with. You don't want to compete with these guys. Um, you don't want to find yourself in a position where you're against one of them if you're not one of them yourselves. Um, and so be very, very careful of that, but also be aware of yourself and who you want to be, and how you want to show up towards the stuff that you do, whether part-time, full-time, or all the time is suitable. And so for me, I love this rope analogy that that Alex Hormozy tends to, or has used in the past before, and I have a sort of iteration of it. And so you can think of the work that needs to be done as a rope, and this rope has your goal at the end of it. And in the very beginning, the rope is covered with glass, and so the very touch of the rope is a cut, it's damage. The very pursuit of your goals is a cut, it's damage. You will pay a price for wanting to do what you want to do, right? Okay. So as soon as you start touching this thing, it hurts. Okay. Other hand, all right. Then you run into a second issue. As you're beginning to pull, you realize that this thing is heavy too. And so you really have to dig those hands into it, and you really have to damage those hands, and you have to callous them quite deeply. And you pull hard, and you go, and you go, and you go, and you go. And you're trying, and you're starting, and you're telling people, and you're making the posters, you're you're working on the thing, you're trying to get the right connections within the industry, you're trying to do this, you're doing that, you're doing this, you're doing that, and then boom, something happens, you let go of the rope and you stop for 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, where do you think that rope is? Exactly on the spot where you left it. And you still have the exact amount of pain to get through. And so you start pulling once more. You start pulling, start pulling, start pulling, start pulling, start pulling, start pulling. You stop again. So every time you stop, you're not avoiding the pain, you're just delaying. And you're getting more weary, you're getting more tired, versus if you had stayed on the ball, if you had stayed on the money, there's there's certain thresholds of pain where when you take a certain amount of pain and you break through to the other side, you realize that there's so much more pain that you can take. And there's so, you know what I'm saying? When you think that that's it, and then you break through to the other side once more, uh, till you realize that there's so much more in you and there's a lot more in you to give. And so let's not make it about pain. Let's shift it now to the time being dedicated to this thing. What you'll notice is if you're someone who is able to move very quickly through seasons of pain, you're pulling forward the amount of pain that it would take. And so, very realistically, we'll talk some more about condensing time frames a little bit later, which is most people spend 10 years and spread the pain over 10 years, and builders compress that pain. So instead of avoiding it, you move through it faster. And I think that's the unlock. I think when you can get yourself to a spot where the run is generational, if you can get yourself to a spot where you're putting yourself through a year and a half's worth of pain in 6 months, imagine how much further you will be in a year. About 3 years. Now, here's the interesting thing is that you're not only getting better at tolerating the pain, you're not only moving further along the rope than someone else, meaning there is an amount of pain, time, money, effort that achieving your dream is going to take. And the more of it you cover within shorter periods of time, the further along you're going to be getting. So here's the crazy thing. The crazy thing is you may be 6 months in, but you've done in 6 months what it would take someone a year and a half to get through. You're going to be able to do in a year what it takes them 3 years. You're going to be able to do in 2 years what it would take them 8 years. If that's the case, and you're not only condensing the time frames, but you get better, you upskill yourself, and you're working faster than them. And so that's how people can get these outsized returns that look absolutely ridiculous from the outside looking in. But when you're on the inside and you're closer to it, you realize that, oh, heard something the other day that was, we don't get what we want because we're unwilling to sacrifice things that we want less in order to get it. And so the person who's able to do it in 6, that would take 1.5, in that 6 has to sacrifice a lot of things that they do want. They just want those things a lot less than they want their goal. And those are the people who have a tendency to work through a lot of pain and work through a lot of intense hours, work through a lot of let me make it real. What does this actually look like? What does it feel like? What is, let me make it tangible. This is how many no's you have to hear when you're trying to make a sale, how many ideas you're going to have, because there are a lot of terrible ideas that you have and you won't know that they're terrible ideas until you test them, until you bring them to the marketplace. But before you bring them to the marketplace, first you have to have this relationship, first you have to know this vendor, first you have to get into this situation, and then you know this person, and then you give the offer, and then you hear the 5 reasons why it's a terrible thing, and you have to go solve for those 5 constraints in order to, maybe you have to hire this initial person and do this and do this and do this and do that in order to do this one thing out of the 15 things that you think you need to do in order to achieve the thing. Then in the process you figure out that, oh, it's not 15 things, it's actually 10 things. Wait, why do I want to do this? Because what I actually want to achieve is that. So here's the methodology, here's the pivot that needs to happen in order to actually bring me closer to my real goal. And those lessons learned will be learned, whether it takes you a year and a half, 3 years, or it takes you one, is completely predicated upon how much of yourself, of your time, of your effort are you pouring into this thing? How are you pouring into this dream? How much of yourself are you sacrificing in order to be who you need to be? And so every start stop resets your momentum, and the pain isn't optional. Only the timeline through which you're going to be experiencing the pain is. Success belongs to people who return to the work the fastest. And life doesn't reward motivation, it rewards continuity. And so, regardless of how you feel, we talked about the person who experiences the start stop, and the reason is what, insert excuse here. And the difference is, for me, regardless of how valid your reasoning is, it's an excuse. If it's not the work being done, it's an excuse. Sorry. Sorry, lose then. It's fine. If you don't believe that and you think I'm being harsh or I'm being unreasonable, I am being unreasonable. But if you want unreasonable results, you're gonna have to give unreasonable inputs. That's the way that I believe it works. You get, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? But where I'm at is 100% on that the work doesn't care what you had to sacrifice. The work cares that it gets done, and the work doesn't reward how you feel. It doesn't reward motivation. It doesn't care if you were tired on that day, if you were up on that day, if you wanted to be there, if you didn't want to be there. The world rewards the action that gets the thing done, not the intention behind it. And so every obstacle asks you one question: will this be the thing that stops you? That's the question of every single thing that gets in your way. Every single time you are distracted, every single time, that crazy ex is texting you, and the friends want to go out, and this adversity comes, that adversity comes, you lose money on this, you get rejected by that, whatever the case is. Each of those are asking you one very simple question: are we going to get you this time? Will this be the thing that stops you? Is it? Is he stopping? Oh, he's still going. All right, let's get another let's get another test together. Let's get another trial, another tribulation. Will that be the thing that stops you? And so keep pulling. That's all you have to do, is just keep pulling that damn rope. If this season is trying to make you stop, don't. Because the people who eventually make it aren't always the smartest. They're usually just the ones who never kept starting over. Love, Floyd Mayweather said, never forgot it: I may not be the sharpest tool in the drawer. I may not be the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I am in the drawer and I'm extremely sharp. Have an incredible team around you and you keep going. Um, I love the "I'm a dripping faucet" analogy, because I really, really believe in that. I really believe in that. And, um, I'm very careful about saying things like, well, I'm not gifted, I'm just this. Like David Goggins has, I'm not gifted, I'm just driven. I believe about myself that I'm extremely gifted, I'm extremely anointed, and I'm extremely grateful for those gifts. But those gifts won't do jack for you unless you work them. And the work works on you more than you work on it, you know? And so if you don't get out there, if you don't constantly work on the gift, if you don't constantly put yourself in front of the right people, if you don't constantly put forth effort towards your thing, then those gifts are not worth a thing. The gift can only be as good as you allow it to be, by getting out of your own way and sacrificing the things that you want less for the development of that gift that you want more, if that's what you want. And I always think about Sarah Fontaine, um, who said, to give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift. So don't sacrifice the gift, sacrifice the old you instead towards the new you. Don't start, stop. If ever there are forceful reasons where you have to take a day, you have to take a few days, you have to take a week 2 weeks. Know that you have put that rope down, and when you get back, you're going to have to give that rope hell to pay if you ever hope to not just make up for, but exceed the timelines, exceed the growth that is expected within this region and window of time. So, anyway, don't want to keep you guys for too long. As you can see, I'm recording at a different time than usual, but I wanted to get something out to you guys immediately. I'm about to post this right now. That is indicative that we pull that rope regardless. We pull that rope. And so thank you for watching. Audio guy, I apologize. I'm not going to have a chance to put this thing in the editor, turn the volume up. And I'm probably not going to do that very often. But I am right now trying to outsource for an editor. So you, you know, number one, you didn't comment on the last thing, so, which is like, I'm like, hey, weird. This guy only comments when the things aren't going well. When I do try and look out, niggas not there. But in any case, thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate the support. If you did in fact enjoy, and yeah, there's plenty of this. Record 4 times a week, and we'll continue to do so until hell, high water, or a better strategy comes along, one or the other. So if you did in fact enjoy it, hit that subscribe button. There's more stuff coming. If you're a marketer in Port Elizabeth, Legacy Africa, link is in the description box down below, or hit us up. Might be able to offer you something depending on who you are. Opportunity to send your portfolio. The email is going to be down below as well. All that good stuff. Thank you for watching. Sage, standing on business. Signing out.